Welcome to this Cinematic Explainer. I'm your host, Dr. Kem, and today we're going to be cracking the chemical code. We're exploring the invisible, foundational universe that is literally holding absolutely everything together. It's going to be a fun ride, so let's get right into it. I want you to just take a second and look around you right now. Look at your desk, the walls, or even the screen you're looking at right now, and ask yourself, what is all this solid matter actually made of? If we zoomed in way, way beyond the limits of visible light, what would we see? Well, the answer is both incredibly elegant and, honestly, deeply fascinating. Section 1, the building blocks of matter. Okay, so to understand the really complex stuff, we need to quickly revisit John Dalton's foundational atomic theory. Basically, all matter breaks down into these discrete, tiny units called atoms. Think of them as the ultimate Lego pieces of the universe. They're indestructible particles that combine in simple whole number ratios. They rearrange to form new things, sure, but they are never fundamentally destroyed in the process. But if we zoom in even closer, we hit the subatomic level. And you probably know the drill here. We've got positive protons and neutral neutrons tightly packed right in the center, the nucleus. And they're surrounded by this buzzing cloud of negative electrons. The absolute vital takeaway here? Opposite charges attract. That electrostatic attraction is quite literally the fundamental glue holding our entire atomic world together. Section 2. Molecules versus ionic arrays. Now, what's truly fascinating is how these atoms actually combine. They generally take one of two paths. First, nonmetals can share electron pairs to create distinct, independent little packages. We call these molecular compounds. But when metals and nonmetals interact, it's a whole different ballgame. They actually trade electrons entirely, becoming charged cations and anions. So instead of forming those neat little independent packages, electrostatic attraction snaps them together into these massive, extended, continuous arrays. Those are our ionic compounds. You can really see the stark structural difference here. On the left, we've got everyday table salt. Notice how it's this infinite, rigid 3D lattice of alternating positive and negative ions, just seamlessly repeating over and over. But then look at the right. That's halothane. It's a completely free-floating, discrete molecule where specific atoms are covalently bound into just one independent package. It's a completely different structural vibe. Section 3, decoding chemical formulas. So, you might be wondering, how do chemists actually talk about these complex 3D structures on a flat piece of paper? Well, we use a highly specific code. Take the familiar water molecule, H2O for example. If you see a lack of a subscript next to an element, that just means there's exactly one atom per molecule. But if there is a subscript, that tells you the exact multiple, like the 2 right here, which means we have exactly 2 hydrogen atoms. The crucial point to remember is that these chemical formulas can be written in 3 distinct ways, basically depending on what exactly we need to know. First, an empirical formula. That gives you the absolute simplest whole number ratio of atoms in a compound. Next, a molecular formula shows you the exact, literal number of atoms of each element in a single molecule. And finally, a structural formula goes a whole step further. It shows you exactly how those atoms are actually connected to one another in 3D space. Of course, sometimes nature throws us a curveball. Atoms can actually form a covalently bonded group that carries a net electrical charge, acting entirely as a single unit. We call these polyatomic ions. Just look at how ammonium acts as a single package with a +1 charge, or nitrate with a -1. The big takeaway? When you see these in a formula, they move and behave together as one completely unified entity. Section 4. The concept of formula units. All right, this brings us to a really unique problem when it comes to those giant ionic arrays we talked about earlier. They do not have discrete units. Think about it. Because an ionic crystal like salt is this infinitely repeating grid, you literally cannot isolate just one single sodium ion bonded to one single chloride ion. There is simply no such thing as a molecule of table salt. So how on earth do we write a molecular formula for something that isn't even a molecule? Well, the aha moment here is the invention of something called the formula unit. A formula unit is simply the smallest electrically neutral collection of ions in a non-molecular substance. It basically represents the absolute lowest whole number ratio of the ions in that massive crystal array. So for sodium chloride, the ratio in the crystal is 1:1, meaning the formula unit is simply NaCl. It perfectly gives us a measurable entity without us getting completely lost in an infinite lattice. Pretty brilliant, right? As we zoom back out to our macroscopic, everyday world, I want to leave you with this final thought. The next time you pick up an everyday object, ask yourself, what invisible, repeating ionic arrays and discrete free-floating molecules are secretly holding your world together? From the salt in your food to the complex structural molecules in the screen you're looking at right now, you now possess the basic chemical code to understand the whole shebang. Keep exploring, and thanks so much for joining me for this explainer.